arcade sucks!
So I wanted to spin the block one more time on Sonic Generations because I felt like my playthrough on Sonic Generations, one, just wasn't really that good, and two, I felt like it really went unappreciated, and a lot of people really didn't pay attention to it because obviously Shadow Gens overshadowed it at the time. So I really want to spin. Why does it keep doing that? That's gonna make me mad. I wanted to spin the block one last time on Sonic Generations and basically have a definitive playthrough that people will be happy with and that I'll be happy with as well, because obviously this game, I mean, what is there not to say that there hasn't already been said about this game? This is a really good game, and you know, it's been proven time and time again. And, you know, I think it's still going to be proven. Level design is solid. The game is fun. You know, even the classic Sonic stages, a lot of people, you know, give it crap, but personally, I really like it, and I think it's really, really fun. So for me, you know, it's not that big of an issue. And even with the addition of the drop dash, a lot of people really liked. I don't know how people really felt about the addition of the drop dash, but me personally, I felt like it was a really good addition, mainly because a lot of the level design in this game is very much beneficial from the drop dash, and I don't think it was intentional back then. I think it was very much unintentional. And when you look at it and you go back, you realize how much of the level design actually benefits from having the drop dash, even just in the game, and how much of these long stretches there are because you're just running forward. And I think it's because of the idea and the philosophy of the just the game in general, back in the day, which was, oh, here's the classic Sonic formula, but you're going to be doing a lot of what is similar to the modern Sonic formula. And then obviously you have the modern Sonic formula, which, you know, does exactly what it needs to do, which is, you know, be the boost gameplay style, which I still think is the best gameplay style. Upon reviewing the Sonic gameplay styles over the years, I've played a lot of Sonic, and I'll be honest, I do think the boost gameplay style is the best after so much time. I've liked Sonic since I was 7 years old, and you know, I've played the classics, I've played the adventure games, and I've played the modern boost titles, and I kind of like what Frontiers is doing, where it's kind of trying to mix all of it together. I think that kind of works as well too, but I think the boost titles are just the most fun. There's just a nice high skill ceiling that people really, you know, you can enjoy if you sink a lot of time into it. And there's also a lot of, I think, just there's a lot of fun, you know, the precise movements, the fast pace movement, and it's easier to make stages. And I get the complaints that a lot of Forces had, but I will say these stages are pretty lengthy in this game, and same with Unleashed. But when you learn the level design and stuff, you can tear up these stages like they're Sonic Forces stages, which I think is nice because it comes with skill. And then you kind of think, well, maybe the level design was actually lazy, and you know, we've been tripping this whole time, and Forces was just the same. Forces was not the same. Forces was a completely different game. You know, it barely had any effort or anything go into it. But that's besides the point. I do want to replay Forces at some point, but if I do it, I'm going to do it modded, of course. That's probably going to be that. But I do think that Sonic Generations is just, it's a solid classic. You know, it's always been, and it always will be. And there's nothing I really can say that I think are bad about this game. And I will say, upon a lot of review as well, now that we're kind of out of this honeymoon stage with Shadow Generations, I think Shadow Generations is still an amazing, phenomenal game story-wise and whatnot, but I do think that the stages, while incredibly fun, do not get me wrong, and have amazing level design and make me hopeful for the future of Sonic, especially like Frontiers 2 and what they'll do with the stages and whatnot. And even then, Cyberspace wasn't that bad either, but it makes me really, really excited for the future of Sonic level design because it was really good. But I do think the Generations still kind of tops this, honestly. I'll be honest. I do think that Base Generations is still a little bit more fun than Shadow Generations, and I don't really know what it is. I just really think that Shadow Generations, while really, really fun and has really good level design, I think is an amazing game and has a lot of cool tech and stuff like that. There's just something about this game that just, you can't help but love it, and especially with just all the mod support, because obviously we're covering mods on the game right now, and I felt like a playthrough would also just be more beneficial if we did that as well while covering the mods. You know, with all the mod support that this game has had over the years and still continues to get, like, this game is just a timeless game. Like, I don't think this game will ever die. It's always going to be the most popular Sonic game, no matter what happens, you know? And I think that's also why the Shadow Generations version of this game, or the port version of this game, you know, doesn't have a modded section yet to do it through the original Generations. Because I will say, we are doing the port. We're doing the Shadow Generations Sonic Generations remaster, so there's you know, the change dialogue and whatnot. There's a lot of different things here to experience as well, so as long as I don't drop any inputs or have to deal with any of that crap, we should be good to go. But I'm hoping that the playthrough is going to be, you know, sufficeable and, you know, fun. And yeah, this game overall, it's just an amazing game. It's super freaking fun. You love it, you know, everybody loves it, you know, and for good reason. And I do think there was a point in time where people were trying to hate on this game for some reason. I don't know why people would be like, oh yeah, this game sucks. Like, no, it doesn't. It doesn't. This game is fun. I do think that, you know, Unleashed is still a little better, but that's just bias for me personally. But this game still very much is a close second in the Boost titles. I think it's probably the second best Boost title ever made. And, you know, having the classic Sonic added on, while the classic, because the classic formula is just such a good formula that works. You know, this game is the best of both worlds. It's exactly what it's set out to be. A celebration of the past 25 years. 25? Was this 25 years? I think it was 25 years of Sonic. The past 25 years of Sonic, this game set out to celebrate that. And it achieved that, you know, by giving us the Boost gameplay and giving us the other things. And a lot of people are like, oh, well, the adventure style. Let me just tell you something. And I've said this a lot on videos. The adventure style is just classic Sonic style in 3D, and I know I've had a lot of people hate in my comment section on that, but it's true. All right, it's so true, and like I don't know where we're getting this whole, like, because like I just reviewed, by the time this comes out, I'll have already done the Westopolis mod, and just by playing the Westopolis stage mod where you're playing as classic Sonic in 3D, it is literally just adventure style. Like, I was playing it and it was adventure style. Like, you could spin dash, you know, you could also drop dash because I had the classic Sonic Improvement mod on and stuff like that. It is literally just the adventure style in 3D, or the classic style in 3D. That's all adventure style is. And I guess in a way I can see the appeal and where a lot of the love and, you know, appreciation for that comes from. But at the same time, I don't really think the glaze is warranted, because especially with how just rocky, I guess, the adventure games kind of are in a sense. Because even though I'll say this, I love Sonic Adventure 1. Don't get me wrong, I love Sonic Adventure 1. If you watch my playthrough on it, you'll see I just loved and enjoyed playing through that game, and I would love to replay it. I think that would be I think that would be really fun to do at some point. It's a really, really fun game, but it's not good. I think the game sucks, but I think it's an amazingly fun game, and obviously y'all know my feelings on Sonic Adventure 2. I don't think I'll ever replay that at any point in my life. Sometime soon, maybe like way in the future. Okay, now I'm actually fumbling. What the frick is this? You know, maybe I'll replay it at some point in my life, but for now, like, I'm not really caring too much for that. But, you know, as for the classics, where it's like, you know, classic Sonic, classic 2D gameplay, rolling, jumping, spin dashing, all this other greats. Where am I going? Hold on. In terms of all this other stuff that, you know, a lot of people really know about, this works, and it always has, and it probably always will. I pulled back there. And it probably always will. You know, that's just how this gameplay was made. And I think that the boost also really works. And I can see why Sega probably wants to, or Sega and Sonic Team, I should say, are wanting to kind of change up the gameplay as well as kind of bring back the adventure style. Because obviously, you know, I wouldn't say it's getting stale by any means. I would say that it's still cooking just as much as it was before. But, you know, I think a lot of people are really wanting that change, because the thing about it is, you know, there's always a loud minority of people, you know, and the adventure fans are just that. There's a very large minority of people who really love the adventure games, grew up with them, but they're very loud. And I think that's where Sega is taking a lot of their criticism from, and taking a lot of the ideas from, and who they're listening to the most, because they're so, you know, vocal about the things that they want for this series. And I think that's also a reason why Sonic has been confused for so long as a just fan base in general, as a just gaming series in general, and why there was so much different things for this game that you know, and for these games and different play styles that, you know, Sonic's had over the years. And I get maybe some of it was experimentation on Sega's part, but a lot of the stuff that they really wanted for this game, or for these games, you know, for a long time, was just very interesting, to say the least, you know. And I think it comes to that experimentation and a lot of that loud vocal minority that we had gotten games the way that we did. But we did have a lot of games now where, you know, maturing is realizing that a lot of the Dark Age games post 06 are amazing. I think a lot of the fan base now has agreed that Sonic Unleashed is the best Sonic game ever made, which I knew since the game came out. But, you know, I don't think people are ready for that conversation yet, because obviously I've been an Unleashed glazer since day one. And people, because, you know, I've always glazed Unleashed, but a lot of people are going to be like, oh, no, you're just joining the trend. I'm not. I have, since the day I was born, since I was conceived, I was told about Sonic Unleashed. I knew, God told me right before I was born, and I was like, all right, this game's gonna come out, and he's like, you're gonna defend this game with your life. Even if it makes everyone in the world hate you, you must defend this game with your life. And I said, I got you, God. And so that's what I did. I defended the game with my life until I couldn't anymore. And now, look at where we're at. It's the best game in the series, objectively, and it always has been, it always will be. And I think, you know, the only reason that got hate at the time was obviously because of, you know, the fan base at the time, post Sonic 06, you know, where we lived in a post Sonic 06 world where it was just popular to hate on everything Sonic. So, you know, he did that, and then, you know, Unleashed came out. Then Colors came out, and everybody was like, Colors, it was actually really good. And then Generations came out, it was really good. And then Lost World, I thought Lost World was fine, but, you know, some people might digress or say differently. But either way, I still think that was a fine game. A lot of the Sonic games have been really good looking back, and it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure that out, in my opinion. I think really only, you know, if you're not avid about this series, or you're gonna go in, you know, and you like a specific gameplay style, i.e. the adventure style classics, you know, and that's where most of these people, and not to cause any problems, but from what I've noticed, a lot of classic heads and a lot of adventure fans are the ones that cause the most trouble in this fan base, because they love that play style so much that they can't accept anything different. Whereas a lot of us boost enthusiasts really just don't care. I've always been one to be like, oh, a lot of these Sonic games are good because I'm so open to a lot of playstyles, because I play a lot of different games. And that's the thing about a lot of these Sonic fans, is they only play Sonic games. So when Sonic does something different, they don't like it. Newsflash, I like the Werehog because I've played God of War, you know. I like Sonic and the Black Knight because I've played, like, you know, Shadow of Mordor, games with swords, stuff like. I've played a lot of different games where they did a lot of these different styles. And, you know, in general, I think that is just kind of how the cookie crumbles when it comes to the fan base, and this fan base is really just, it's wishy-washy. And I didn't even mean to go on a ramble about the fan base, but I think you get what I mean.